Everybody, we are back and bringing you some NFL preview video this time. So I know a couple days ago I released the kind of review or recap of week one. So now we are going to do a preview of week two, actually starting in a couple of hours from the time I'm recording this. I'm definitely crunch timing it, so I do apologize for that. But we actually have today. Being the Cincinnati Bengals versus the Cleveland Browns. So, backtrack a little bit. What I'm going to do is just go like a minute or two into each game, kind of my predictions. I'm going to make my picks for the game and kind of my takeaways or what I think or how I think each team could win. So that's kind of overlying this video. So to start off, like I was saying, Cincinnati Bengals, Cleveland Browns, right? Obviously, I don't think the Browns have fans. I could be wrong. So not home game, I guess you could say, but we'll ignore that for all of these. So it is a primetime game. This I feel like is a typical Thursday night game. Not going to be very good in my opinion, unless you are the team of the winning team or you're a fan of the winning team. I just I don't think this game is going to be all too good. I do think the Cleveland Browns win it, so that's my pick for this one. I am going with the Browns. I think they kind of get back on track, but what I will say is I don't think that this is going to be a blowout. What a lot of people I've seen are thinking. I think the Bengals are going to be a tough out this year. Just with Joe Burrow, he looked good for a rookie first game. So I guess my biggest thing would be, can the Bengals play any defense, and can they get Joe Mixon going? He didn't have the best week one. And then can the Browns turn everything around, basically? I mean, they got blown out by the Ravens. So those are kind of be my takeaways. The Browns need to turn it around, but I am going with the Browns. Not going to do a score prediction, but I'm just picking the Browns. But I do think it'll be a close game. Probably field goal or a touchdown difference. I don't expect it to be a blowout. So next one, we'll just go in order of this ESPN schedule, is the New York Giants versus the Chicago Bears at Chicago. This is also not another not very good game. If you watched the last week, Mitchell Trubisky played pretty bad until the fourth quarter and then played good, decent, so I guess my biggest thing is, can the Giants reduce their turnovers to win this one, and can their defense play as good as it did in week one? Because it wasn't horrible. It wasn't as bad as what people thought. So I don't see the Giants really having, I don't know. I don't see how they necessarily win this one. I'm going with the Chicago Bears. Reason being is, even with Trubisky playing bad, I think their offense is a bit more consistent. And then their defense is a whole lot better. So with Khalil Mack pass rushing, it's going to be a long day for Daniel Jones because that O-line is horrible. I mean, the Steelers, I know they were blitzing nonstop. So teams are going to copy that and just blitz Daniel Jones every other play, and his O-line couldn't do anything about it. So I'm going with the Bears on this one. Next is Atlanta versus the Dallas Cowboys. Sorry, I was moving my mic out of, or not my mic, my mouse out of the way. So the Atlanta Falcons versus Dallas Cowboys. I'm not too hot on Atlanta. I know that they have the offensive talent. Their defense is a little shaky, in my opinion, especially after getting rid of Desmond Trufant. I feel like they just have a lot of turnover. I know they did add Dante Fowler, Todd Gurley on offense. I think that Atlanta will be a good team. I think they'll be like 8-8 again, right around that middle of the pack. Dallas, I don't know. They didn't look as good versus the Rams, but I'm going to pencil that as like a week. It was the start of the season with no preseason. I think Dallas kind of takes this one away. I just think they're the better team. I wouldn't be surprised if Dallas wins by like double digit, like 10. So I think Dallas wins this one. Next is Green Bay Packer or Detroit Lions at Green Bay. Detroit. This is, I believe, Jeff Okudah is supposed to play this week. So first week rookie versus Devontae Adams. Yikes! I don't know. I don't know if the Detroit Lions can, one, score enough to keep up with Green Bay, and two, play enough defense to stop Green Bay from scoring. So I think this could be a potentially ugly one. I do have Green Bay in this. Um, I don't know. I don't really see how they could lose if they play anywhere close to how Green Bay being, if they play anywhere close to how they did Week 1. The next one is Jacksonville at Tennessee. This is another one where, kind of like the Bengals, I think the Jags are going to be a tough out this year. I just think that they're going to be a lot more competitive and not as bad as what people think. I think they're going to kind of be like the Dolphins of last year, kind of penciled in for the number one overall seed, or number one overall pick, but they'll be like the fourth or fifth worst. I don't know. I don't see them being as the worst team in the league. Against the Titans, who played, well, their kicker played. Goskowski was shaving points. He got the win, but I think he had a little bit of extra money in there in Vegas because he was missing everything he possibly could. So I do think Tennessee wins this one, but this is one of those where I wouldn't be as shocked if the Jags win because I think they'll be competitive, and I don't know, the Titans didn't look great. They didn't look bad, but they did not look great. So I'm going to go Titans, but I don't think by much. I think it'll be 3-7 in that range. Like they'll win by 3 or 7. Next one is Minnesota versus Indianapolis Colts. I don't know. This one, both of these teams did not look very good week 1. Phillip Rivers for the Colts looked really bad. He looked like he did last year, which was not very good. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. Jonathan Taylor, I believe, will be the starter. I doubt they give Nyheim Hines like 20 carries, but that'll be interesting to see. The Colts, outside of quarterback, are the better roster over Minnesota. Minnesota, the biggest problem with them is I think they have like 3 rookie corners or 2. I know they have Jeff Gladney and I can't remember the other one. I'm blanking, but their defense experienced a lot of turnover with Everson Griffin leaving. I know they got Yannick Ngakoue. I don't know. Their defense is a little shaky. Aaron Rodgers lit them up. I'm not expecting that from the Colts, but I don't know. I think I'm gonna go. This is a tough one. This is like the first 50-50 game. I think I'm going to go with with the Vikings. I think the Vikings have a better and more consistent offense, and Rivers is going to have like 2 or 3 just like what the hell, kind of throws. We've seen it all last year, and it was again week 1. I don't know. I think he's gonna. He being Phillip Rivers is going to turn the game or turn the ball over and kind of lose this one again potentially. So I'm going Minnesota, but this is a coin flip in my opinion. Next one is Buffalo Bills at Miami Dolphins. Again, the Dolphins are a tough team. They're tough out. They're not just a cakewalk. But that being said, I know their secondary is really, really good, the Dolphins, but they still have no pass rush and no run defense, really. So I think the Buffalo Bills, who are kind of a run first, I mean, no one's really run first anymore, but besides the Ravens, I guess. But I think the Buffalo Bills are kind of ground and pound their way to victory and then throw as needed. I don't think they'll rely too much on Josh Allen's arm. So I do have the Bills taking this one. I think it'll be a pretty easy one for Buffalo. So next one is San Francisco at New York. In my opinion, New York is probably the worst roster in football, or the worst team in football. Maybe not roster. That might not make sense, but I mean like on paper, roster wise, And then the Jets, they're just not very good. They have really no one on defense. It's all up to their coordinator. And I know he did a good job last year of kind of just sending some crazy blitzes, and their defense was middle of the road, which is a lot better for the talent that they have. I just think San Fran, I think Brandon Ayuk is supposed to play in this one. They got Mohamed Sanu. They're going to have a much better offensive outing, I believe, against a very, very bad New York Giants team or New York Jets team. And then their defense is still really good. Even though they lost week one, their defense and Nick Bosa is filthy. Javon Kinlaw played really, really well. I know Richard Sherman did get placed on IR, so that's a little concerning if you're a Niners fan. But I think they still take this one. I don't think the Jets really put up too much of a fight. Then next one is the Rams versus the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles, I don't know what to think of them. They just fell apart, and I don't. Every single season, I go into it with a lot of faith for Carson Wentz, and then I kind of lose it, or I at least lost it in game one. I don't know. I think he'll eventually. I think he'll. I don't know if he has a chance to get back to his MVP stage, but there's play. But I do think he is a very good quarterback. With that being said, I think the Rams are going to win this one. I think their defense is kind of newly loaded with Leonard Floyd and a couple of new faces there. Their offense, their O-line is what scares me. Fletcher Cox, Derek Barnett. I know they have a couple injuries. I think Derek Barnett actually might be hurt. But their D-line, the Eagles' D-line, is pretty good, which could give the Rams some problems. So, but with that being said, I think the Rams are just going to kind of figure it a little bit. I think they'll kind of go week by week and figure it out a little bit more and more on offense. So I'm going the Rams here at Philly. Next one is the Denver Broncos and Pittsburgh Steelers. So I obviously am a Steelers fan. If you've watched any of my other videos, I'm definitely going to try to be as objective as possible. But on this one, I don't really see a way that the Denver Broncos will win this. I hate to say that confidently, but the Steelers, let's look, just defense. Defense is elite. I mean, week one, if Bud Dupree, T.J. Watts, Cam Hayward, if they all keep playing like they did, the Denver O-line is shaky. I think Cortland Sutton is expected to play, so that is a strength for Denver. Is they're just weapons on offense. Philip Lindsay is hurt. Melvin Gordon did not look nearly the same. So I don't know if I think the Steelers can shut down their run game again, and the question is, can Drew Lock lead a team to victory? And I think that's what it's going to take. I think it's going to take him and his arm, and I just don't see it on the Steelers defense. So I'm going Steelers. I don't think it'll be a blowout. I do think it'll be like a touchdown game, but I have Steelers winning this one. I think the more and more Big Ben plays, the more rust he'll shake off, and the better the offense will look. I think James Conner is also expected to play, but I liked Benny Snell better than James Conner, even though I don't really like either of them too much. But with that being said, I think the Steelers win this one. The next one is Carolina at Tampa Bay. Carolina is also one of the worst teams in the league. They got I know the score didn't really say it, but they got steamrolled by the Oakland Raiders last week on the ground. Like, they're probably one of the worst run defenses, or might be the worst defense in football. They just have so much turnover with Kuechly, Thomas Davis. I know I'm missing a few names. Sorry about that. I hadn't moved my mouse. But yeah, they lost so many guys on defense. I think Tom Brady kind of corrects himself. I know he's definitely kicking himself and will learn from the mistakes that he made in week one. And the more time he gets to gel with his team, I think the better the Tampa Bay Bucks will be. So I think Tampa's going to turn it around and kind of blow out the Panthers. I don't know. I don't see this one being too close. With that being said, on to the next one. The Washington football team at the Arizona Cardinals. This one is interesting. I don't know if I would give it the coin flip status, but the Washington football team, their defense, if it can play anywhere as close to it as it did week one, I know 8 sacks is almost impossible to repeat every single week, but if they play even remotely as good as they did in just getting after the passer, they're going to give some problems to that Cardinals O-line, which is not very good. But the problem is with the football team's defense is their secondary is a little shaky. So who is going to cover DeAndre Hopkins, and that's kind of why I think the Cardinals win this one. I wouldn't say handily, like not a blowout, but I'd say by a touchdown, if not more. Just because I think the Cardinals are still going to be able to score because they can be pretty creative and can force the ball to DeAndre Hopkins. Don't think the football team can really stop that. And then on offense, I don't see Dwayne Haskins, putting up the points that he will need to score on Arizona. I know Arizona isn't the best defense either, but they have Budda Baker, they have Pat Pete, they have Chandler Jones, they have some guys. So I'm going Cardinals on this one. Next is we got 3 games left. We're into the 4 o'clocks now. Is the Kansas City Chiefs at the Los Angeles Chargers. So the Chiefs to me are still the best team in football, and them and the Ravens. If you watch my last video, I said that they were 1-2 in the AFC. I think they're 1-2 in the NFL, honestly. So I think Chiefs. Ooh, I don't know. This one, I think the Chiefs are going to maybe possibly blow out the Chargers. I'm leaning towards a blowout on that one. I don't really see how the Chargers keep up. Their offense was all right week 1, nothing spectacular. Their defense is, without Derwin James, it's just different. It's good still, but it's not great. And so I just don't see them keeping up. So I have Chiefs. Next one is Baltimore versus Houston. Houston just cannot get cut a break. They play they're probably the 1 and 2 best teams in the NFL. This could also potentially be a blowout, even though I think Houston will kind of correct the ship and be a decent team. I don't see kind of same situation with in Chiefs week 1. I don't see how they keep up. I really don't. With the Ravens aren't as high flying because they do run the ball a lot, but the Houston defense isn't amazing, so I don't know. I don't see them getting off the field too often and too frequently to keep up with the Ravens, and Lamar, he's just a problem. So Baltimore, big. I also think a double-digit win potentially there. New England versus Seattle. This is a great week 2 primetime night game. This game, New England is different, but they're not as bad as what people originally thought. They're going to be still really good. With that being said, Seattle has Russell Wilson, who is, in my opinion, the second best quarterback in the league behind Mahomes. So, and their wide receiver core is good now. They have Chris Carson, who is healthy and rolling after week 1. I think this is going to be a really good game, a really close game. But I do think ultimately the Seattle Seahawks are going to pull this one out. I was honestly debating, even though I've kind of picked them before I even started recording, I was debating on if I wanted to flip that one. But I'm going with the Seattle Seahawks still. I just think their offense is a lot better than New England's at this point in time. New England is kind of a run first almost. I know I said not too many teams are run first, but I mean Cam Newton got 15 carries. I don't know if they're going to keep doing that, and they don't really have too many weapons outside of Cam and Edelman. So yeah, I'm going to go Seattle. I don't know if their defense can really if Seattle's defense can really kind of change the game and hold New England to like to no points. That's why I think it will be close. But I could see this being a field goal game. Seattle kind of win it at the end, honestly, because Seattle's defense isn't spectacular. It's good, but not great. But the offense, I think, is really where it's favored in Seattle's favor. So Seattle, I'd say probably by 3 or 4. So now on to the final game of week 2, Monday night, New Orleans at Las Vegas, the Raiders. So, I am not. I wouldn't say I'm not as low as what people as like kind of the media is on the Raiders, but I'm also not high on them as one of my friends who is a Raiders fan. I think they'll be a decent team, kind of middle of the road. I'd say around 7-9. I think their range is 6-10 to 8-8. It's kind of their range as a team. So I think they'll be good. I think they'll be a tough out. Definitely, they're a decent team with their running game. I will say the Raiders' O line is built to run. I mean, they have just big bodies. Trent Brown, Richie Incognito, Rodney Hudson, like just big dudes. They're not the best in pass protection. That's where they kind of struggle. But for running it, Josh Jacobs, he's a beast, and their O line is really good. But with that being said, I don't think they have enough to beat the Saints, unfortunately. Their wide receiver core is two rookies in the wide receiver core of the Raiders is two rookies, Henry Ruggs and Brian Edwards. And then I am blanking, and Darren Waller is kind of like their number one target. I don't think they have the firepower. I know the Saints aren't as flashy and aren't as like high flying of an offense as they used to be, but they're a really really good team. So I think that this is going to be a closer game than what the media kind of portrays it as, or what people like the general public consensus will think. I do think the Raiders will stick around. I just don't think they have enough to keep up. So I'm going with New Orleans. Sorry to my friend who is a Raiders fan, but I'm going with New Orleans on this one, and that rounds out the Week 1 preview. So thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you think of my picks. If you agree with them, disagree with them, always open to hearing it. And as always, make sure you comment, like, subscribe, and thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time.